Disney is on a current trend remaking their animated films into new movies, and so here comes the latest one, now streaming on Disney+, Pinocchio. The animated version of Pinocchio is one of my favorite Disney movies, so it obviously has a lot to live up to. Robert Zemeckis signed on to direct this, and based on his previous work, he is a fitting director to make a Pinocchio movie. His films often depict how one's creativity can bring new life to something, whether it's turning a car into a time machine, concocting a potion that can de-age people, or populating an entire world full of animated characters. In Castaway, he even had Tom Hanks imagine that a volleyball was a close friend. Fittingly, Hanks stars as Geppetto in this new live-action version of Pinocchio. Zemeckis has also shown a fascination with the latest technology, so the prospect of making a wooden puppet come to life was probably exciting for him. My experience with the Disney remake so far has been an interesting one. I found that I like them most when they do things differently from the animated film, which is why Cinderella, Mulan, and Lady and the Tramp are my favorites of the bunch. I also gave Beauty and the Beast a pass because I was reminded more of the stage musical than I was the animated movie when watching it. To me, it's not exciting just seeing the animated film being recreated scene for scene with live action or photorealistic visuals. If I want to see a Mulan with musical numbers and a wisecracking dragon, that already exists. I don't need to see the exact same movie again, but with on-screen actors and special effects. So does this version of Pinocchio feel beholden to Disney's animated classic, or does it try to do things differently? Well, yes and no, and that's why I'm not entirely sure where I stand on this one. It does follow the story beats of the animated movie closely, as Pinocchio goes to all the expected plot points and faces the same adversaries. At times, it feels like it's checking off all the boxes as it zips Pinocchio from one place to the next, and that also creates a disjointed pacing. The designs are very faithful to the earlier film, with Hanks made up to look exactly like Geppetto, and Pinocchio especially looking like he walked straight out of Milt Kahl's original drawings. Something I have to praise about the movie are the visual effects, which are quite sensational. The animators did an especially good job on Pinocchio, as I bought him as a wooden puppet walking around, and they made him look appropriately cute. Other animated characters like Jiminy Cricket, Honest John, and Gideon are also well done. This being a Zemeckis film, he takes any opportunity to swoop the camera around in an elaborate sequence, with the Pleasure Island section being a highlight as he cleverly showcases each part of this demented theme park. Hanks is okay as Geppetto, but I wasn't sure if he was attempting an Italian accent or not, as it was fairly wobbly. Joseph Gordon-Levitt does a great job as Jiminy, and if I had not looked at the cast list beforehand, I absolutely would not have guessed it was him. He was that unrecognizable, and was able to provide a decent amount of humor and likability as the little cricket. While there are moments taken directly from the animated film, including the I've Got No Strings number, and Honest John singing An Actor's Life for Me to Pinocchio, the filmmakers did depart from that movie in a number of places, and these were, not surprisingly, the most interesting parts to me. Pinocchio's development was something that especially stood out to me. Pinocchio is usually depicted in various incarnations of this story, including the animated Disney film, as always willing to believe what he's told and easily lured away, even from obvious villains. He's like that at the beginning of the film, but as it progresses he becomes more cautious, and I found that to be a well-handled addition to the character. The film also briefly touches on the subject of prejudice, and how he copes with being a talking puppet in a world populated with humans and animals, so there's another element to his motivation than being a real boy. There are a few new characters added here, including a puppeteer working for Stromboli, who Pinocchio forms a nice friendship with. The emotional parts did manage to work for me, again owing to these new developments for Pinocchio and how Geppetto deals with his disappearance. We do get a couple of original songs alongside the classic Disney tunes, but I sadly felt they went in one ear and out the other for me. I did not mind the different direction they took for how Monstro the Whale enters the picture, but for some odd reason the resolution felt both stretched out and abrupt. The story of Pinocchio is known for having its fair share of nightmare fuel, so I imagine there are people wondering if that made its way into this version. Even though Zemeckis' past work, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and A Christmas Carol, did not water things down, this version of Pinocchio is surprisingly tame. Even the famous donkey transformation scene is fairly mild compared to what we saw in the animated film. In the end, I found Disney's live-action Pinocchio to be watchable enough, but not without its occasional flaws. I feel, much like some of the other remakes Disney has produced on the animated classics, I find the devotion to the animated film harms more than helps it. It made me wonder what a Robert Zemeckis adaptation of Pinocchio completely divorced from the animated film would be like. You do still spot many of his fingerprints on this movie, so there are hints of that. However, we still get the corporate mandate to recreate certain scenes. Anyway, give Pinocchio a watch on Disney+, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching.